So James 4 verse 8 is the key piece of text I'm talking about, and this is why I think it's so important. It says, "Draw nigh to God, and he will draw nigh to you. Cleanse hands, sinners, and purify hearts, double-minded." So it's a really famous Bible verse in regards to drawing closer to God and having God draw closer to you. But it gives you two key insights. The first one is this. So it's simple. He literally says, you draw closer to God and God will draw closer to you. So the first thing you can do, which is so simple, is literally just move closer. You can do that in loads of different ways, but I'll put down here more prayer, more Bible reading, and more fellowship. So these are just 3 different easy ways you can start spending more time with God, spending more time with people of God, and just by literally doing that, but literally just doing more of the things that you know will actually get you closer to God, it will give you more opportunity to actually draw closer to God and have a better relationship. Now, like I said, these are some of the easy ones. Now let's talk about some things that might be a bit more difficult. Now this stuff just focused on the first part of the verse, but what did the other part of the verse say? It basically said, cleanse yourself and purify your heart, sinners and double-minded. Now, another common way that can get you closer to God and actually have God come closer to you, which is literally getting rid of sin in your life, because sometimes sin is actually the problem that's literally keeping you from God. Let me give you an example. So about 3 or 4 years into my salvation, the trajectory was great. Things were going all in the right direction. And then during that period, I fell into some deep sin. And during that season, I was literally drifting further and further away from God. Now, I'm not going to get into all of the details in this video. That's a video for another day. But one point I will literally tell you about, which is really key in regards to relevance to this video, is I was literally in my dad's house and I was literally basically just trying to talk to God and just saying, God, you know what? I want to come back. I want to serve you. I don't want to be in this sinful, dead state. I know this isn't where I want to be. I know this isn't what you want from me. How do I come back? And literally at that time and that period in time, it felt like God really wasn't talking to me the way I felt like he'd been talking to me previously, whether it be through scripture, whether it be through people, whether it be through just different things, different objects and different scenarios throughout the day, or whether it was the spirit inside me just talking to me, or even if it was God literally talking to me himself in one different shape or form. I remember just saying to myself, I remember hearing God say to me something along the lines of, you know what you need to do. And just to bring this story full circle, I knew deep down in my heart it was the sin that I had got deeper and deeper and deeper into that I needed to literally walk away from. And literally ever since that point, I literally have turned away and literally started focusing more on God. And that's how I was able to get back to where I was previously, and then also continue to ascend. And I've continued to do that and not look back. It's the same thing. So sometimes it's sin that's literally stopping you from having God draw closer to you. So it's really important you understand that. And the last thing for you to focus on in regards to what James is actually writing here is the context. Because based on what he's actually talking about within that chapter and all around that key verse, James 4 chapter 8, is he basically highlights several different things. I literally wrote them down here in 3 different things. So one of the things he was saying in the context of what he was talking about drawing closer to God and having God closer to you, was that lust would actually consume you. So if you're allowing the things that you want to do, the different sins, like we talked about previously in today's video, to get the best of you, like I said for myself in that example, I was continuing into that sin and it was drawing me further and further away. So you have to be mindful of the lust that we actually have in our hearts, which will easily steer us away from God. Now, another thing he says in the context of what we're talking about today in regards to what lust will actually do in the ultimate end is it will make you become a friend of the world. Because obviously in the world we're living in, there's lust everywhere. Different scenarios and different environments, there's always going to be different lustful things that draw your attention. And the fact of the matter is, if we continue to give into those lusts, what do? We become a friend of the world. And the fundamental fact is that James says is, he who's a friend with the world is ultimately an enemy of God. Now, I don't want to be an enemy of God. I hope you don't want to be an enemy of God. So understand that you have to start taking the steps like these in order to draw closer to God. Now, another thing he says here, which is really vital, he says, be humble. It's mind-boggling in the day and age we live in for people not to be humble in regards to God. But the fact of the matter is, you have to make this decision. You have to be able to say to yourself, you know what? I'm not going to do these things. I'm not going to yield myself in order to fulfill the lust of my flesh. I'm going to focus on doing these things more and more every single day. Those are the things that will keep me closer to God. Those are the things that will keep me away from yielding to my lust, going deeper and deeper into sin. If you humble yourself, God will be able to lift you up. Now, one of the things I said you can do more and more each day in order to build your relationship and draw closer to God is more Bible reading. So because of that, I recommend you watch this video right here. It's a great video which is going to show you a great Bible reading plan you can use right now, which can have you reading more and more each day. And if you want to watch this video down here, it's a great video which is going to tell you about prayer, and it's going to show you exactly why your prayers might not actually be answered. Thanks and take care, and I'll see you on the next video.